Coming to you live from the Titty Twister, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and come on in, podcast lovers. Here at the 10 Point Podcast, we're slashing podcasts in half. Give us an offer on our vast selection of podcasts. And this is a podcast blowout. All right, we've got white podcasts, black podcasts, Spanish podcasts, yellow podcasts. We've got hot podcasts, cold podcasts. We've got wet podcasts. We got smelly podcasts. We've got hairy podcasts, bloody podcasts, snapping podcasts. We've got silk podcasts, velvet podcasts, Naga hide podcast, whatever the hell that is. We even got horse podcast, dog podcast, chicken podcast. You want podcasts? Come on in, podcast lovers. If we don't got it, you don't want it.
There we go. I 100% knew he was going to do that, but it came out way better than I thought it would.
When I picked it, I was like, oh my god, that is what the intro should be. And then when I looked at it, I was like, oh, I could just substitute the word podcast and it'll work. Okay, the Ramblers are rambling with me this week. First, he's not Chris, he's a lapdog of Satan.
Accept that. I'll get her a lapdog.
And secondly, for your viewing pleasure, the mistress of the macabre, the epitome of evil, the most sinister woman to ever dance on the face of this earth, bow your head, kneel, and worship at the feet of Andy.
Have a cape.
Yeah. Would you have a snake, or would you have something different? What would you have wrapped around you?
Oh. Crocodile.
Crocodile. Fair enough. We are the 10 Point Podcast. We offer you a vast selection of podcasts, as I've just ran through there, approaching 200s of podcasts. If you can Google us on the internet, you'll find
shut down. Fuck the police. Fuck the police.
That was for my intro. The lies. 10 Point Podcast, Google us. You'll find all of our many websites and places you can find us. 10pointpodcast.com is our website. Spotify, Apple are the main places you can find podcasts. Has anyone used any podcast apps that aren't named nowadays? I don't know if there's any popular podcast apps.
Whoever's listened to the Boy in the Striped Pajamas podcast, apparently.
It peaked, yeah, out of nowhere.
Thanks, by the way, I appreciate the
2 listens out of nowhere last week. A dead episode, just two listens in 1 week.
One of our least popular episodes from way back when, just people were interested, I guess. And YouTube, that's what I've got to say, for video versions, where you can see us looking silly with daft backgrounds and all that sort of stuff. The 10 Point broadcast over there as well. I'm sure there's something else I always say at this point. But anyway, just Google us.
Give us money.
Give us money. Yes, contact us at 10pointpodcast.com. There's an email link at the bottom if you want to get in touch with
We'll do birthday parties, shop openings, whatever you want.
We will read ad copy on anything.
Yeah.
Anything at all. You've just heard that was my what's the word? Audition for it right then. But before we get on to the podcast this week, what was your highlight of the last week? Now I can pretty much sit back and relax because these two guys have been and seen brand new things. And I feel like we should let Chris take
the never goes to the cinema. He went
front and center for Chris this week.
Well, I've been a busy boy this week because before I went to the cinema, I watched Avatar 2, and I also watched the Tetris film.
I forgot to watch Tetris. That was what I was going to watch this week, and I got to last night, and I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot to watch Tetris." So carry on, Chris.
But my main highlight of the week is I went to go see the Super Mario Brothers with the kids, and it's all right. It's good. I don't know. It's like just an animated film. It is what it is. Of course, his name Jack Black steals the show as Bowser.
It does seem like he has. He even dresses Bowser in the premieres and stuff like that. And any interview, he seems to dress up. So I think he loves Bowser.
Is it called the Super Mario movie or something? What is it actually?
Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah. Is it for kids? Is it for people who love Mario? Is it just an animated movie for everybody, or is it for people who don't really know what the whole thing is and it's brand new?
I would say it's mostly kids animated. It throws in a lot of nostalgia stuff. Like they're constantly playing the Super Mario themes to the thing, and the noises and stuff like that. They're kind of like Mortal Kombat starting hyped up to like 11. Right. It's just constant Mario songs to it.
So would Sean love it? Sean's the target audience here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right, that's fine. Sean's the ultimate Mario fan.
It's for kids, as in the story is for kids, but there's little bits where like, oh, that's the thing from that, and that's the thing from that.
Is it better than the 1994 one?
Oh, I don't know about that. That's a cult classic. That one.
A comparison to be made there.
This one at least follows the the Mario lore closer.
Although I've heard some debates over what actual Mario lore is, because it's the
Yeah.
most scattershot thing ever created, I think, all throughout the 100 Mario games that there's been. So thumbs up for Mario?
I'd give it a thumbs up, yeah.
But you're not. I feel like you expected to be really excited about it. And
yeah, I was. I know everybody's kind of slammed the accent that they thought that Chris Pratt was going to do, but it's nowhere near as bad as what they've.
I feel like Chris would have enjoyed it if he didn't have to take the wife and the kids.
Oh no, they were fine. I'm not gonna lie, I nearly fell asleep at one point.
Oh,
but
God.
that's because I was up at like 6:30 this morning.
Right.
With the wee man, and I was just sitting there, I could feel my eyes getting heavy. He's like, no, I can't fall asleep to this.
Were the kids coming out buzzing? But they like, we love Mario now, or were they like, it's fine.
Like every trailer as well. I think it's the first time for Penny to say every trailer. Oh, I want to see that. Oh, I want to see that. Can we come back? I want to see that.
You've created a monster.
Yeah, cinema goers.
Yeah.
Any other reviews on your other things you mentioned in passing, Chris?
Yeah, Tetris. Thumbs up as well. It was really good. It's better than Avatar.
It's better than Avatar.
I would say so.
Great.
I feel like you did miss out on the big screen version of Avatar, which I think, if I remember rightly, me and Andy were both like, the best thing about it is how it looks on a big screen.
Watching goldfishes for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. There's so much bro. I don't understand like where the lend is, because Sully never said bro once in the first film, and he's never said it in this film. So why are they calling each other bro all the time?
I don't know if I mentioned this when we talked about Scream 6, but there's a kid, and I won't do any spoilers because I know Chris hasn't seen it yet. There's an annoying kid that I didn't like very much in Scream 6. I hadn't realised it's the same actor that played the annoying spider in Avatar 2. And I was like, that's why I had to get instant hate to him, because I'd spent 4 hours or whatever hating him during Avatar.
As soon as I seen him, I knew instantly who his parent was.
Oh yeah, everybody did. It's not the most thrilling thing.
Yeah.
But I'd definitely say Tetris is thumbs up.
Tetris is the pick of the bunch, is it?
Aye.
Okay. Andy, what have you seen in the last week then?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. Now I've heard very good things about this. So what do you say?
This was a film that I was going I seen like advertised like I mean, I didn't hate the original. Well, not the originals, but like the Marlon Wayne ones and stuff like that came out a few years ago. They were all right. They gradually got shitter and went straight to video and DVD and stuff like that. But this one, I was like, I'm not going to bother watching it. And I thought, fuck, I'm going to watch it. What a banger. Like, I was not expecting it. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what the vibe on the internet is you go in with no expectations. You come out with, that was a fucking brilliant film. Yeah. Now, I can't say if it is Dungeons and Dragons, enough, because, I mean, there's 3 dragons in it, very little, and I think there's 1 dungeon. So it's like literally dungeon and dragons you could probably get. So, but yeah, absolutely banger. Like everybody, like the random actors I don't know, they played it well. Michelle Rodriguez, I normally hate her, but she was pretty good in it. Yeah. And Hugh Grant, fucking hell, legend.
A lot of people said he absolutely steals it.
Absolutely does. And I think the only Dungeons and Dragons thing that obviously I didn't understand is like the magic spells. They all have names. I'm pretty sure that's from the game that you play with. But I don't need to know. Yeah. And then there's a funny cameo. I absolutely killed myself laughing in it. Brilliant.
Good. Yeah, I think they might have created a new franchise for themselves, whoever's behind it.
Oh, definitely. And then I remember watching the cartoon, and there is a little bit near the end where you see the cartoon guys in like as like a kind of mirror image of like the team that you've been following through the film.
Right.
So
Okay.
you get a little nod. It's the exact outfits they're wearing from the 80s cartoon and stuff like that. I was like, that's that thing. That's the one Dungeons and Dragons thing I knew.
Very good. I saw a big thumbs up for that as well. Couple of good positives. I'm the one resorting to Mandalorian talk this week because I don't have anything because I forgot.
I haven't seen
not seen it yet. Okay. It's a adventure of the week more than it is the overarching story.
Yeah,
but
they've got 2 episodes left, and there's still literally been 0 story in this season.
Yeah,
it's my only concern.
We're going to retake Mandalore, and then they spent 1 episode there, and then we're gonna go back and take Mandalore. Has been the rest of the episode, but yeah, it moves forward towards the end of the episode, so don't give up on it too early, Chris. But
I read somewhere that this season's on the verge of cancelling the rest of them.
Yeah, apparently the rumors are like everybody's just like this is shit, and it's like I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like it's allowing it to explore more things and do different things.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was very taken by the most recent episodes.
No.
I forget what it's called, but yeah, talking of cameos, a couple of good cameos in it, Chris. I won't spoil them for you.
Yeah, Andy said there's a lot of good cameos in it.
Absolute cameos.
Yeah, these are actual cameos. Yeah,
And I do like the side quest, like the most mundane little side quest ever.
yeah,
But it is what they say. When you hear that like flute go off, Mando's going like shit's going down with Mando.
yeah. It happens. Like I say, it's very similar to the episode that everybody hates, where it was the Dr. Pershing show.
Yeah.
This is a wee adventure, but then serious business happens at the end, Chris, and we're moving forward with, I guess, 2 big episodes to end it. I would hope.
It's got to be. And this is what
Yeah.
they did in season one when Moff Gideon
Yeah.
suddenly turned up and all shit hit the fan.
Exactly. So yeah, I give a thumbs middle leaning up for Mando, because more on the potential rather than the enjoyment of the another quite long episode, 30 plus.
It
minutes.
was, aye.
But that's it. I won't talk about that too
And
much.
Grogu doing some Grogu stuff.
Grogu making squeaking noises in the background, as we've already discussed several times. That's what he's here for this season, because he's not meant to be. Okay, podcasters, let's get podcasting, I'm sure is what Seth would say around this time. On to the point of the podcast this week. The point is, on point number 1, the 1996 wild and wicked action thriller, I took that off the DVD, From Dusk Till Dawn. It is a horror film as well. Other websites would tell you it's a horror film. Written by, the screenplay anyway, Quentin Tarantino. So I've got a list of things that he wrote that are not directed by him. So True Romance, Natural Born Killers, From Dusk Till Dawn, and 2 episodes of CSI seem to be the big things that he wrote that he did not direct. Yeah, kind of everything else is kind of a spin-off of other things that he'd like. There is a From Dusk Till Dawn TV show, so he wrote that. But take away the things he's directed, which is 9 films and other bits and pieces. That's what you're left with him just being a writer, is those. And also written by, or at least the story was attributed to Robert Kurtzman. Now he's basically a makeup effects technician. Like, he doesn't write things. And Andy's nodding his head because his name jumped out at him, Andy. So I feel like you and I may have encountered him.
He was the guy that did Robert Englund's face paint at London Film and Comic Con.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Robert Kurtzman. So he's a makeup effects technician who Tarantino had given the script to say, can you, or if you want to, go direct the script I've written, because everybody else he'd offered to couldn't make it. Like, oh yeah, I can't. I'm into this. Oh, I'm interested, but I can't. I've got this. But then he couldn't commit to it either. So he took a look at it, had some ideas, and then also, I can't direct it either. I've got other things to do. So Tarantino ended up giving it to Robert Rodriguez after Tarantino himself pulled out because he wanted to be in it and couldn't do everything he claimed. But Robert Kurtzman, makeup effects, Andy has mentioned that he's worked with Robert Englund. That's because he worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 5, was what I could find as running with Robert Englund. But other things he worked on that's done makeup effects, technician-y, and all that sort of stuff. Evil Dead 2, Halloween 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Right, okay. He's done all the big ones, not the best versions, but the big ones. And then after that, Misery. I'm assuming it's his bad ankle. He must have been behind that. Army of Darkness, Scream, Men in Black, Boogie Nights, Spy Kids, Rat Race, Goldmember, It Follows, Tusk, which jumped out at me because Andy mentions Tusk all the time. The Netflix series The Haunting of Hill House, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and Dr. Sleep. He has done makeup effects, etc. And all of these things in the past 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it was. So he was the story credit on this, randomly. But the film finally directed by Robert Rodriguez. He was the man in the end who went ahead with it. Famous for directing El Mariachi, Desperado, the 4 Spy Kids movies, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Sin City 1 and 2, the Planet Terror half of the Grindhouse double bill was Quentin Tarantino, Machete 1 and 2, Alita Battle Angel, which I'd forgotten he was the director of. Yeah. He also directed 1 episode of Mando, since we're talking about Mandalorian, and 3 episodes of Boba Fett. I think there were just 3 in the middle, I think.
The bad ones.
The Mando ones. No, it's not the Mando ones.
I don't think it did. Maybe it was prior to the Mando ones then, yeah. So yeah, Robert Rodriguez, a famous name in directing and film production and all that sort of stuff. The film From Dusk Till Dawn stars, got our main 4 here. As Jacob, first build, Harvey Keitel. I've really featured him because I don't think we're ever going to do any film that he's the main star of. Nope. He's always, there's Harvey Keitel playing a crazy kind of not quite cameo kind of role in the background. So he's famous for being in Mean Streets way back in the 70s. The Last Temptation of Christ, that's the Willem Dafoe version of that kind of film. Thelma and Louise, Reservoir Dogs, Bad Lieutenant, Sister Act, The Piano, Pulp Fiction. That was his kind of 90s run, was Thelma and Louise, Reservoir Dogs, Bad Lieutenant, Sister Act, The Piano, Pulp Fiction. These are all big and successful films with all completely different tones about them one after another. Then From Dusk Till Dawn, since then, Copland, I felt like I had to put Little Nicky in because you guys
That's
would
the
shout
one I
that
remember him from.
if I didn't. Red Dragon, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and then The Irishman might be the last biggest thing that he was in. So that's Harvey Keitel, a very famous name. And also the direct line adverts where he plays Winston Wolfe or something like that is in them as well.
Oh, yeah.
It just plays his Pulp Fiction.
That's
character.
why I've seen so much of him.
Yeah, I think it's direct line. Some insurance anyway. Second, as Seth Gecko, George Clooney, who we have done before because we discussed it at the very end of the last podcast. We have done before and have covered him in detail before. So according to the internet, his big four: Good Night and Good Luck, Michael
Batman.
Clayton, Up in the Air, and The Ides of March. They are the
Batman.
big four that he's famous for. But ER, Batman,
Batman with nipples.
maybe Out of Sight, maybe the Ocean's movies. These
Oh, yeah, I
things.
forgot that was a thing.
But yeah, those are the four allegedly. But yeah,
Sparky.
George Clooney is George Clooney, Sparky in South Park. Yes, exactly. And is the Doctor in the film? Is that what I'm right?
Yeah, Dr. Gooch or Gouch or
Yeah.
whatever he's called.
Our third star as Richard Gecko, Quentin Tarantino. We don't do much in terms of him acting, although he does appear in his own stuff. So his big acting roles that aren't necessarily in the films that he's made. Reservoir Dogs, he did make that one. Sleep With Me is a sensational cameo where he has a great monologue in a scene that he basically was famous for, where he explains how Top Gun is like a metaphor for homosexuality or something like that, where the whole thing, it's a fantastic scene. I would look out on YouTube or something like him doing this monologue talking about that's the film Sleep With Me. Pulp Fiction, he was in that as Jimmy. Desperado, he does a similar monologue. He kind of walks into a bar, does a big scene in that too. Then he's in From Dusk Till Dawn. 4 episodes of Alias jumped out at me that he was in a run of episodes in that. And then Grindhouse, the aforementioned doubleheader, he was in both halves of Grindhouse playing different roles.
Little Nicky.
And he's also Little Nicky. in that. And our fourth star as Kate, Juliette Lewis. Famous for, as a kind of young actress, being in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and then Cape Fear. Cape Fear is where she got most of her acting kind of credit, was from that. She became a star after being in Cape Fear. Then in the 90s, basically, she was in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Natural Born Killers, the other Tarantino written film, From Dusk Till Dawn. She's one of the DJs in GTA 4, who has jumped out at me. Probably heard her voice a lot on that. And then since the turn of the century, August Osage County, I'm not sure what it is, but I kind of recognise the name of it. And most recently, she's in Yellow Jackets, a much publicised TV show that I haven't quite started watching yet, which is
Fucked up, that show.
Yeah, I've heard that, so I'm quite interested to see what it's like. They are our main 4 stars. There's a whole bunch of people's heads will pop up throughout the rest of the podcast, so we'll crack on. The film's made on a budget of $19 million, opened in the US first weekend $10 million, final US gross $26 million, so not a massive money turner. I can't get a worldwide number, unfortunately, so probably a bit more, because it did come out in a whole bunch of countries. But yeah, not a massive profit behind it, but I think video rentals and sales must have got it a sequel and a sequel, because there's 3 of them and a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have got some money somewhere out of it. But yeah, in terms of cinema takings, not a lot. Released January 19th, 1996 in America, 31st of May 1996 in the UK, so a big jump in time between the two. Means that it qualified for the 96-97 sort of award season, because it was very late for the big ones. So at either Oscar ceremonies, it got no nominations, so shut out at the Oscars. But at the 97 Razzies, over a year after it came out, Quentin Tarantino got nominated for Worst Supporting Actor at the Razzies. He lost, however, to Marlon Brando in The Island of Dr. Moreau, which might just about be Brando's one of his last acting roles. If it wasn't, it was certainly a tumultuous, horrific production that went really badly, where everybody fell out with everybody, and the film was horrific. So, sensationally bad film that is. So that was.
Watch that.
Maybe it might be quite a good laugh. So that's the only Razzie nomination at the lot. MTV Movie Awards of 1996, 1 nomination. Best Breakthrough Performance, George Clooney. And he was the winner of the Best Breakthrough.
See, harder than fuck all before this, Chris. You remember that?
He was just kind of in ER, sort of. And that was about it. It really didn't do an awful lot. So for me personally, this was a big... I remember George Clooney, when you're young, it was always the hunks. And you're always like, I'm not interested in these guys and all that. And then you see this film and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's really good. Like, I've changed my opinion. This changed my opinion on George Clooney after seeing this film. But however, the main award ceremony that isn't the pointies that we care about is the Saturn Awards. 8 nominations at the 96 Saturn Awards for From Dusk Till Dawn. Best makeup, it did not win. It lost to 7, which we have covered before. Best writing, it did not win. It lost to 7, the aforementioned film that we've covered before. Best director for Robert Rodriguez, he did not win. He lost to Catherine Bigelow for Strange Days.
Female Gigolo.
Yeah.
God.
I don't believe so.
He loves it.
Best supporting actress, Juliette Lewis, lost to Bonnie Hunt for Jumanji, which already I'm like, what a year, like what a time frame this was. The 95, 96, 97.
Mid-90s are the best.
Films were never better before or after this period, I don't think. Best supporting actor, both Harvey Keitel and Quentin Tarantino were nominated, so there's a bit of discrepancy there, like a Razzie nomination and a Saturn Award nomination for Tarantino. They both lost to Brad Pitt for 12 Monkeys, another great film that came out around that time. George Clooney nominated for Best Actor. He won. He was Best Actor at the Saturn Awards that year, and nominated for Best Horror Film. It won as well, so it did get 2 out of 8 nominations were wins at the Saturn Awards. This feels like perfect Saturn Award fodder. This is like big name director, big name writer, famous people in it and all that, and well received, I would say. Synopsis for From Dusk Till Dawn, brought to us by Claudio from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Watch the film.
He's back. We've actually finally got back up to popular films again that he wants to watch and review for us. None of this Cube nonsense.
Oh.
Check out our Cube review from last week.
He's like me with the sewers, just won't let it go.
So Claudio says, I put this way, I saw his name and I took it. I don't know what this is. So, after a bank heist in Abilene with several casualties, the bank robber Seth Gecko and his psychopath and rapist brother Richard Gecko continue their crime spree in a convenience store in the middle of the desert while heading to Mexico with a hostage. That was all one sentence. They decide to stop for a while in a low-budget motel. Meanwhile, the former minister Jacob Fuller is travelling on vacation with his son Scott and his daughter Kate in an RV. Jacob lost his faith after the death of his beloved wife in a car accident and quit his position of pastor of his community and stops for the night in the same motel Seth and Richard are lodged. When Seth sees the recreational vehicle, he abducts Jacob and his family to help his brother and him to cross the Mexico border, promising to release them on the next morning. They head to the truck drivers and bikers bar Titty Twister, where Seth will meet with his partner Carlos in the dawn. When they are watching the dancer Santanico Pandemonium, Seth and Richard fight with 3 bodyguards. But soon they discover that the bar is a coven of vampires, and they need to fight until dawn to leave the place alive.
That's the rest of it.
Good to have that.
Everything.
Yeah, that's more than half the film he's given us there. Who picked From Dusk Till Dawn? It was I. I picked it. It was me. Have we seen it before? I own this on DVD. I have seen this often before. What about you?
I thought I had, but I don't remember any of it apart from Salma Hayek. So I don't know if I've just seen clips of it.
You've probably watched on Pornhub.
I do remember when I mentioned it, you immediately went, "That's vampires, isn't it?" And I'm like, "It is. It's kind of the twist, but not exactly the twist of the film." So you must have seen it before.
The Titty Twisters is the twist.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that is a big twist. Which channel will we find this on? I am saying this is absolutely guaranteed, nailed on. Channel 4, maybe Film 4 these days.
Yeah.
This film would be. I believe Channel 4 is where I first saw it back in the past. Which version did we watch? We'll watch the normal version because there's only really 2 or 3. The special edition has a couple of scenes that were taken out for graphic violence. You get a bit more Sex Machine doing stuff in the special edition, Laserdisc version, all that. And apparently in the TV version, which immediately I'm like, so this means the American TV version that they can air during the day because they're mad and they do things over that. Like, that's where they dub in the word funk and all that sort of stuff. So in the TV version in America, the bar is changed digitally to the Kitty Twister, and a whole bunch of the nudity and violence is censored. And I'm like, what do you have left if you take all that out? The second half of the film must be near impossible to follow.
As soon as you get there, that's it. It's finished.
Yeah, Carlos.
You see them stand surveying all this damage.
So that is everything about the background to the film. So on to point 2, the high points. Whoever picks it goes first. So I'll just say the opening scene. I enjoyed the cold open in the. Is it like a petrol station or a shop? I'm not sure what it actually was. In the middle of nowhere. So I'll say the opening scene is a high point. Chris, you nodded to carry on talking a bit.
All right, like that guy deserves an Academy Award because I had no idea he was being held at gunpoint until as soon as he went to the bathroom, like out pops Seth is just like, fucking hell, like, what you trying to do? I was like, I thought he was acting natural. He did a great job.
It's really good because, like, when Earl walks in, although what I've got in my notes is Earl, within a couple of minutes of this film, undoes all the good work we've done this season by insulting disabled people more times than I care to count. But we'll ignore that and move on. It's a really good scene where he reveals that there has been a bank robbery, and then it's revealed to us that the bank robbers are in the same place, hiding in the corners behind them. But yeah, it's a good reveal. The actor that plays the guy behind the counter, whose name I now cannot find, he's got one of them faces who shows up and everything like that. I thought he was really good, but the fact that Steve Buscemi was first offered the role and couldn't do it, I was like, oh, he'd be the perfect guy to play behind the counter. But he did very well anyway. Any other bits about that scene, Chris? 'Cause I've got a couple more.
I was gonna say, like, I love how it escalates from. Might come up a little bit later on, but Richie being a pathological liar and saying he's telling him he's scratching, he's mouthing that he's lying. Help us, and he's like, no, he never. And he goes, shut up, bang.
Do you think Richie manifested it like he does later on? Like he was just looking, and his mind played the trick on him, and he thought he could help us. I really enjoyed immediately get their dynamic of where Seth is like, everybody do what I say and everything's gonna be fine, and Richie, like you say, is just this wild card whispering immediately, whispering in his ear. And then a really good murder, like you say, of Earl McGraw in his first appearance of 3 within the Tarantino verse. So this same character is in Kill Bill and also in both halves of Grindhouse, which technically must appear before this film because he's alive in those. But yeah, Michael Parks as Earl McGraw shows up a lot. But yeah, a great first scene.
I wasn't expecting it. It's like he's talking away and then bang.
I really like the in 3 seconds shoot out the booze behind the bar thing. I think the toilet.
Yeah. I liked the bit when he gets like, you think, oh, he's burning, and then just suddenly just gets up and has a last gasp of just shooting well on fire.
And I don't know if I've ever noticed it before, or at least I've forgotten it. When he's on fire, when they shoot him and burn him and all that, it lands as a pile of popcorn. So just pop. It's like the end of the scene is this guy popping a bunch of popcorn until they walk out, obviously.
I was going to say that next bit is then the image of them just walking out, is just things just blowing up behind them. They're just arguing about, well, you're not supposed to shoot anybody, you're not supposed to take a hostage. You just get in and get a map.
Yeah, all you have to do was go in and buy the map. That's what happened. I did laugh at the fact that it feels like it was an actual building that was there, so they couldn't blow up the building. So every explosion was kind of coming from behind the building, and then they shot some like really soft-looking kind of, I don't know, padding out of the window, whatever it was. You could see it bouncing on the ground next to them and all that. But yeah, was like, don't damage the building. We're already behind on money or whatever it was. Yeah, so that's definitely my first high point. My next one would be them arriving at the motel. Is my next high point. I don't know if you guys have got anything.
Mine's is not until they arrive to this place. So
even at Titty Twister. I love them arriving at the because of the guy who worked there. Like obviously he's ringing the bell and no one comes, rings it, ring, and then he's just smashing and the guy's like, what the hell's going on out here? What the hell do you want? Just coming out like that. And it was like, oh, the guy stole the scene from me. And it's like,
it's actually just Clooney. He was just, what do you want? What the fuck do you think I want? I want a room. Why else would I be here?
You run a motel. Like, why else would I be here? So yeah, like that. And then him arriving, like obviously they get into the room, but the when Seth arrives back with his big kahuna burger, which is a nice Pulp Fiction reference, and then he goes in to see the hostage that they have taken, and just you don't see what's happened. The camera just pans in or zooms in, I should say, on Clooney's face. And every so often you just get a flash of just basically it's just red. You don't know what's happened. So making you create the scene in your head is really good.
This is a controversial point that I'm going to say. Like, I think Richie, mostly because of his unpredictability, is a high point. Because you just have no idea after him lying about the guy and then him being nice to this lady going, come watch the film. Maybe we'll just sit together. And then you see what he's done. He's just
I was getting Dharma vibes straight away.
Nutter.
You were getting what?
Dharma vibes. Right. Dharma.
Right.
And then like he just got a bit creepy with what's her name? Kate. Yeah. It was a scene when she just turns around and looks at him and said, will you eat my, I don't want to say it, it's just
podcast.
Eat my podcast. It was just,
and then
it's just such
And then he brings it back up to her. Did you mean what you said earlier on in the room? And she's like, what? What you said to me? And she's like, what? It's like, oh, never mind. We'll speak about it later or something like that. But yeah, you're right. Richie would just be the stupid younger brother in most other things. But the fact he's an absolute psychopath wild card means that he's a better character. Well, not exactly a good person. He's a better character.
The fact that Tarantino's got such a softly spoken voice as well. He sounds so calm. And he's like putting in his retainers, like, I grind my teeth.
Yeah.
Just all...
He's a really softly spoken, nice, kind of quiet character until he gets called a nut. And then he just loses his mind shouting in the toilet when he gets called a nut.
That's my next high point is the border crossing.
The border crossing is really good, yeah. Before we go to the border, I do like the scene where basically George Clooney beats the crap out of him, shows that Seth isn't a bad guy. He's just a bad guy. Like, I will rob banks. I will kill people who are trying to stop me, but I'm not going to go and kill a whole bunch of innocent people for no reason. Like, I'm just here for the money. I'm not a crazy person like this one here. But yes, the border crossing. Don't act like a nut.
Like the dynamic of the brothers arguing in the bathroom with her, and you got the priest lying and arguing with his son, saying, "Just tell him." Like, no, I'm in charge here. And then an officer who's actually doing his job and acting suspicious when they lie.
Yeah,
it's a great scene.
It's good they don't believe him, but I don't know. Every time I watch it, I don't understand why he didn't just say, "Oh, it's just me and my family," and then if they ask another question, "Oh, me, my son, and my daughter." It's like I've never been to a Mexican-American border crossing, but like everybody come up to the front and put your hands on the dash, sort of thing, so we can do a head count. I don't know how it works necessarily, but you need to go. Like
I don't know. I feel like I would shit before the border.
Yeah,
exactly. Unless you wanted to have a shit in two places at once.
Yeah.
Border crossing shit. Feature.
Even he was creepy as well, just leching on her sitting in the toilet, just like slowly closing the thing. Going,
he stood way too long, didn't he? Yeah, he had a look way too long. But I love me some suspense when it comes to my films. This is about the only scene in the film that has some suspense about it, because you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And the music kind of gets ramped up as well a little bit. But yes, they arrive at the Titty Twister not long after, and that's my next high point.
What high point? That building. It's got some proper dynamic on it.
It does.
I would definitely say if I was driving along a road and just seen that, I'd be like, I'm going in.
I disagree. There's no way. I can imagine you and Chantel on the road trip, and you'd be like, "Oh, Chantel, let's go over there," and the two of you driving in.
Well, it's like when me and Sean were in Vegas and we went to so Coyote Ugly was based on this bar, and it was like a proper biker bar. Yeah, instant regrets on that one.
But you can't serve you in here. You're not a biker. Was it like
that? No, like they let us straight in. And
battered.
Well, yeah, Sean almost got battered. But then, like, we went in, Sean bought the first round, and the barmaid was like, "You're going to buy me a shot?" And Sean was like, "All right." And then she literally just nicks a shot, and then just passes out. And then, like, I genuinely passes out. You know how you see them, like, then they drink, and then they spit into, like, another bottle? She, like, literally nicked the shot, and kind of went, and it just went down. And we're like, and then just these two people, just like other like bar women, just came and pulled her to the back. It's like, well, it's her nap time now.
One arm under each oxter.
Yeah, and then the other person comes back and goes, "Oh, what did you order?" And I was just like, "Just 2 drinks." And then Sean was just sitting on the bar, putting his drink on the bar, and then every 5 minutes, like, "Take it off." And he's like, "Whoa!" And he's like, basically because they were getting ready to just all jump up in the bar and start dancing and stuff. But yeah, I've totally had vibes of this. There was no titties going around, but. Biker chicks and like proper big bikers. Like I got the welcome that they got.
Yeah. Well, I very much enjoyed Clooney at the front door. Like his speech in the RV is quite good. Everybody just play along. Everyone be nice. But him walking up to the door and Cheech being like, "You're not coming in," so like basically breaks his finger. Just the way he punches him a couple of times is just really, I don't know, satisfying. I don't know. It was just, I really like the way he did it. And then he's just like, "Everybody go in." Oh, nice. It's a really good bit of physical acting by Clooney. I very much enjoyed it.
I like the scan of everything that's going on. Like you've got the titties flailing on the tables, then you come to Sex Machine, who's like whipping a bottle that's on his hand.
Yeah,
I kind of liked when you're like the guy who obviously your intro was like, and he basically when he pans around, you see all the dancers. It had all the different things he was saying. He wasn't lying.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't see a chicken one, but
What about a smelly one?
I don't think I've seen a smelly one,
Well,
but
to have smell-o-vision.
Yeah.
Go on.
But yeah, you're right. The bar, it gives you an idea of you come in and there's the bar, there's Danny Trejo, there's the stage where the performances are happening. There's girls dancing at every table. Here's 2 or 3 of the characters that are going to be important. There's the band playing over there, and then back to the front door again. Ah, right, okay. This is the battleground where the rest of the film is going to play out. It's really good because I've basically got my next high point is everything that happens once they sit down at the table in the bar.
Yeah.
For me, is the high point.
Mm.
Even the simple bit at the beginning, just where everybody's going to have a shot. No, I don't want one. Oh, yes, I'll have one. Kate getting more into it. I'll have another one. Thank you. Yeah, she's really good. And then, what's his face? The son, Scott, having his first drink and all that sort of stuff. And then Seth being like, what are you going to do now? And he says, what I'm going to do is drink this bottle till it's finished. And I'm going to take the bottle and break it over that guy's melon fucking head. And I was like, I just remember that. That's a good way to call someone with a big head. And then you get Harvey Keitel's "Are you such a loser?" speech for the first time he's actually kicking off. And again, a bit of tension between the two of them. But yeah, the scene where they're sitting down is really good. I like that as a scene. Is it
Salma Hayek.
worth asking what the next high point is?
Salma Hayek.
Seth summed it up perfectly when the performance of Santanico Pandemonium by Salma Hayek ends, and Seth just shouts, "That's what they call a fucking show." And it's like, yes, yeah, there we go. I see your guys, Salma Hayek in Dogma, which you guys were fawning over, and I raise you Salma Hayek in From Dusk Till Dawn here.
I don't know. I still like Dogma because it's not Snake. Snake gets in the way.
After that's gone, it's better than Dogma.
Definitely. And I really like the song. The music in the bar is really good. I like in fact, the music throughout for me is really good. But I guess After Dark or something, that's the name of the song that plays when Santanico was doing her thing. Sensational scene. And we'll leave it at that. I think we can't really add any more than that. Go watch it for yourself. Next high points. Anybody else? I've got quite a big one.
Mine's is later on.
Right. Our next one is, we've seen this film before, but when I first watched this film, I had no idea there were going to be vampires in this film. So I think there's a bunch of vampires in here. I think that's a high point. I think that's a good twist in the Titty Twister.
Yep, I agree.
No more to add than that.
Chris looks like he's I don't know why he's being weird.
That's Chris for you, is it not?
Yeah. Well, since you mentioned the vampires, I'll say the band's dead instruments were quite cool. How 1 minute they played the guitars, and then next time you see it, it's like a dead head flopping about.
Yeah, when pretty much.
I did think it was a gigantic penis he was strumming at one stage.
It does look a bit. It's kind of awkward. I'm not sure how you would make it look effective. Like at first glance. At first, I was like, "What is going on over there?"
Well,
it looks a bit.
I wonder if it was there the whole time, because I was watching this in 1 second. Like it's the guitar, then it's the dead body. I was like, "When the fuck did that change?"
Yeah.
Does that mean was his guitar a vampire as well? Did it change form? And it's like it was just a normal guitar and it changed like everybody else did. But yeah, they're vampires, and now our main characters who were in this bank robbery, kidnapping film, now have to annihilate, I don't know, a couple of hundred vampires with a whole bunch of bikers. And I do like the introduction of Sex Machine and Frost as our kind of the back.
I'll say it. His cock gun was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That little pouch just flips down, bang, and flips back up again.
In my research, I found that people had done not recreations, but done kind of experiments to find out if it would have been effective. People were arguing that it would be ineffective because the recoil would be so painful for him. But people were like, oh no, not necessarily, because this could be that way, and it could be padded enough. And he had he fired it with like a thing he had in his hand and all that stuff. So it might actually possibly work, the penis gun. But yeah, it looks like it does for aesthetics only, but it could actually be a functioning gun. But yeah, on this view through, what Sex Machine really entertained me. I think Tom Savini.
Yeah.
He really went for it with his 10, 15 minutes he has in the film. Other high points of the vampire annihilation, staking 4 of them on an upturned table. I like that. That was Frost that did that. But my favorite one was Danny Trejo. I'd forgotten how he got, which is staked with a pool cue on a pool table, and he turns to liquid, and his 2 eyeballs roll and go into the pockets of the pool table.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, that was my favorite one of that. I've got a couple little ones towards the end. Anybody else got any others?
Oh, mine's is quite a big one. I wasn't expecting like any of the family to die. Like I thought maybe like Seth to get out because Richie was a bit of a creep, but I was expecting any of the family to get got, and especially wasn't expecting, big spoiler, the dad to kill the son.
To kill son, yeah, exactly, yeah. The in the original script, apparently, it was all of our human characters to go into the bar, all 5 of them come back out again.
Oh.
But Tarantino was like, nah, we need to kill a few off with those. I'll save
choice.
one from each side. I'll survive, and he picked the right ones. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. But yeah, it's a good twist that they work their way. Richie going first was good as well, working their way through them. I like that the film acknowledges they are a bunch of vampires. What do we know about vampires? And just discuss the rules of vampires. I like that. It's not a case of there's a bunch of biters out there. Oh, there's a bunch of walking. No, it was like zombies. Never say the word zombie in films. Yeah. It's like they actually.
I love Clooney when he's like, I don't believe in vampires, but I believe my eyes.
yeah, it's very good. But yeah, they establish the rules of the vampires. I've got a couple of tiny ones towards the end. Any others?
Well, carry on.
Mine's right at the end.
Seth angry with Carlos when he finally rocks up. Clooney's really good in the scene where he's complaining that, why here? Tell me the reasoning of why you would send me to a vampire bar in the middle of nowhere. But is Andy's one the same as mine? The last shot reveal of the whole film.
When it's like a big temple.
Yeah. And through 2023 eyes, it's quite clearly a painting. That, but it's still really, really cool. But yeah, it goes all the way down this giant pyramid vampire temple underneath the bar. But yes, it's a good reveal at the end, which is probably why they have 2s and 3s of From Dusk Till Dawn. Just rebuild the bar. On to the low points. Point 3. What we thought the worst things and bits were of the film, and you've been quiet so far, so I'm sure you've got a couple to load up with.
Quentin Tarantino, just throughout the film. Every time he was on, just annoyed the shit out of me. I don't know why. He just does.
In the past, I think I would have made fun of him for his acting in this film. But on this watch through, I'll stick it in here. I can see why Ernest Liu as Scott has one other acting credit in his entire life, because he's like a wooden stick in the corner of every scene that he's in. Tarantino manages to completely out-act him. But
he wasn't needed at all.
Yeah, literally, I've at that one point. I think he's Who's in the Wrong Films. Like, you don't need to have Scott. And why is he Chinese? Other than a couple of gags.
But no, like Tarantino, like I've never really liked him in things because he's got one of them faces you just want to punch. I don't know why, but like he plays a creeper fairly well. But like the whole foot fetish thing really shows in this film and really just kills Salma Hayek's scene.
What I've got is one of my low points is just feet. I've got where it's like you can tell Tarantino wrote this because I don't know what 5, 6, 7 scenes. It's important that feet are there, and it's usually involving his character.
I'll ruin one of my fun facts. So, watch this film, and then the next day the Barbie trailer came out. I don't know. I don't know if you guys know about this Barbie trailer where like it's got Margot Robbie walking barefoot, and everybody's like, "Those are the most perfect feet I've ever." Like the internet's went crazy. It's like there must be CGI feet, blah blah blah, and everybody's like, "No, that's definitely her feet because she has them out on like Suicide Squad
and Hollywood as well."
And then everybody's like, then it's just pictures of just gifs of Quentin Tarantino just being really excitable. It's like, Quentin Tarantino's like, did you just watch the film last night and then watch the trailer and Quentin Tarantino's all over it with his foot fetish. So fun fact for you, Quentin Tarantino's weird.
I don't begrudge anybody enjoying what they enjoy, but
don't put it on the screen.
It's like 3 too many. Like at least in something like Kill Bill, there's a couple of scenes, and like this one, it's just.
Even that old woman's for the bank teller feet. It's just like straight away. It's like, oh god, here he goes. And then what was that? Her feet and the RV.
Yeah.
It's
all along the way. Come into it one way or another.
If we're still counting feet, fucking hell.
I was thinking that. Like, I was like, this would be perfect for season 1. A low point for me. Am I wrong in thinking that 2 people taking 3 hostages is a bad idea?
I don't know, because neither of the kids seemed like they were going to do anything.
Of course, like, the whole thing with Clooney where he walks in front of the RV and just stops and looks, it's him, like, clocking them and being like, I'm doing this, what reaction are you going to give me? Oh, that's the reaction you give me? Okay, these are our marks. Like, these are the ones we need to go get. But I still think 2v3, obviously you've got guns and they don't, but I still think it's a bad. Like at any point, it's tough for two people to watch Three Hostages. I would say. So I think it wasn't a great idea, and I think in a different version of the film, somebody would have got away. I think it might have been a bad plan. Any low points from you, Chris?
Yeah, the vampires.
How they
Like,
look, or
just in general, like the film was more than halfway through before they even show up, and I'm assuming like Salma Hayek was the head vampire.
it seems that way. Yeah.
She died instantly. Like she was literally, she was a vampire. Bang, she was killed, and there's like no big bad vampires at the end. It's just a horde.
This would be me like on like when you always go for the neutral point. The vampires were good, like from a point of view, like the makeup and that was pretty well done.
I've got a different picture.
But
they looked great.
But my problem was they changed too much. Like every vampire seemed to be very different. Like obviously she looked a bit weird, like, and then it flashed because that was CGI. But then they would flip to another vampire, and then like the scene like where they're all walking down the corridor, it looks like there's like 30 different vampires. Now I'm not trying to be racist and vampires. Maybe they are all different. I'm not sure. But normally I'm used to vampires all looking the same. Whereas it just seems like, what have we got lying around the makeup department? Right, you could have this stuck to you. You could have that stuck to you. There wasn't continuity in the vampires.
There's like Danny Trejo was absolutely perfect. His one was like what I assume is that a vampires will look like. And then
what do you call him, Big Fred? Like with the big, like what the fuck was going on there?
A vagina in his face.
Turned into like a dinosaur.
Going down the whole vampire route of what was the time frame of people getting bitten? So Fred got bit fairly quick and turned. Old daddy, the priest dude, and he was. I've got an hour. Like, how do you know you've got an hour? What logic do you have?
One guy turned in seconds.
Yeah, one guy was like straight away. It was just like, and then everybody else that kind of died were all lying down, but they seemed to take time. It's like, what was the? I don't know. It just confused the shit out of me. Vampires there.
Like I was going to say, they could have absolutely annihilated everybody in that thing. Instead, they were more interested in standing and going, "Ooh, how am I going to get you?"
That's technically like that was my other low point, not the actual vampires. Is that corridor scene where they're all tooling up? Pretty cool scene when they're getting all the weapons and Clooney's gun thing. But then they're just literally all standing in the thing, not being able to get through this door with this one little wooden latch.
Well, I guess. Yeah. How did they get in the door? Yeah, I thought of that. They could have just kicked it down.
Yeah.
Unless somebody secretly put a cross on the door or something.
Maybe, but they just when they open the door and then obviously the guy goes out with his like priest gun. But then they're all just like, it's like, why did there was like 50 of you just break down the door?
They explained the rules of vampires. They don't like crosses. But I feel like I don't want to defend it, but I do pick up this when I want to critique a film and I complain about the same thing. I'm always like, vampires aren't an exact science. Because they don't exist, so you kind of have free reign to do what you like. One of the things I did read was the budget only had, let's say, something like 6 full vampire outfits.
Yeah.
So they only ever really could use 6 in each scene, or what you want to call it, 6 actual full vampires. And like you say, they pretty much had to piece the rest together. One scene that really confused me from this aspect was when Richie turns into a vampire, he turns into like, I don't know, like the guy from Mask, but also a bit Elvis, but also a bit Frankenstein. And he's got this massive, huge head. And then it cuts to a different shot, which my assumption is it's through George Clooney's eyes, because he just looks like Quentin Tarantino with vampire teeth and funny eyes. And I was like, is that because he's like looking on, oh, it's my brother, it's not this monster? Or do they just forget that he'd already turned fully into a vampire? Because they cut back to him and he's back to Mask again.
Full head one.
So I don't know if that's how that's supposed to be taken.
That looked horrendous, by the way. It was the worst I've ever seen.
He was the worst of the lot. And it's like, obviously, he's probably the most specialist mask they would have made for the film. Would be, this needs to look like Quentin because he's a big character and he's going to turn here.
But more vampire, and just the inconsistency of vampire deaths. Blade got it right. Vampires explode and go poof every single time. This one, some liquidated, some went thingy, some exploded, some just kind of fell over. It's like, I want consistent vampire deaths.
One guy turned into a fucking rat.
That's one of my low points. I have no idea why Sex Machine turns into a giant rat. He got beheaded, and that meant, all right, okay, well, I will evolve Pokemon style into Rat Machine. It's like, I don't know why. Other than they wanted to be like, oh, do you remember American Werewolf in London? Let's do that in this film because we've got vampires. They're not the same thing. They explained that in the film. They're not the same thing. The inconsistency with the vampire deaths did give me Danny Trejo's eyeballs going into the pool table.
It did.
So,
it was just one of them things. Like, don't get me wrong, like the vampires dying that were cool, but like halfway through, it's just like how do vampires just die differently each time?
I feel like sunlight made them explode, but staking made them liquidize. That was probably my trend that I would think I picked up on.
I don't know.
Because at the end, when
I think it was random.
they're all poofing at the end, was with the sunlight coming in. I've only really got one more low point, which is the bar. The rules for the bar is what I'm stuck on here. It's for truckers and bikers only. We
Yep.
can't serve you. You've got in, past Cheech on the door, but you're not a trucker or a biker because of just the way you look. I can't serve you. So on the one hand, surely vampires would want everybody. Like, oh, I'm starving. There's a million of us. We want to feed. We want more vampires to feed on, and we feed. But presumably, they only want truckers and bikers, so that when they go missing, it's harder to track them down because they travel for a living, if you want to call it that. But then, if that's the case, why did they let this mob in on a technicality because the priest guy has a van? They could just be like, oh no, you could still be tracked down. We can't let you in. Not a case of, oh, well, actually, yeah, he's got us there. Yeah, we'd better serve him, and then we'll worry. We'll worry later on about people coming to try and find them. It annoyed me, the rules for the bar here.
Maybe they were just going to let him go, but then obviously Quentin Tarantino bleeding too much just kind of
Yeah.
sparked it all off. She got a bit eager.
It's going to be a quiet night. It's just a Friday night. We'll be quiet the night. We'll be quiet the night. We've got the ladies' darts on, and then we'll shut early like that. It's and then you had to go bleed in front of everybody. So that's me for low points. We've kind of covered all my low points in the one discussion.
I'm pretty sure the same.
That's a small one. There was like after the ranger gets killed, there was like no police presence at all. Like they made this big thing. We've got this manhunt, FBI, Rangers, police, everything's involved with it. And it's got a big guy headed it as well. What was he called? John Saxon?
Yeah, he's an actor from things. Like, he's in things. And Kelly Preston, the news reporter, is a famous actress as well.
It's never mentioned again.
I think that adds to that's meant to be a big twist that it's vampire, because they set up this, here's the FBI, or was it Texas FBI guy hunting down these bank robbers. But then the film doesn't go that way. Like, it gets almost to that point, and then it goes vampires, and also at the end, Cheech number 3 explains that I brought it to Titty Twister because what police are going to come to this place? Look at it. So they kind of explain that away. But yeah, you're right. They set up a whole bunch of characters in a storyline that intentionally doesn't go anywhere in the film, which I don't know. I think it's maybe for the better because it makes it a different film. It's not just a police chase necessarily. On to point 4, our statistics. I've got quite a few, mainly timing-based ones, and I've bet my bottom dollar that Chris is doing something, so I didn't do it. Shits, 28. F-bombs, 93, but the internet says 105, so I may have missed a couple. Explosions, including vampires, 29 explosions. A lot of them were the bar at the first place. Deaths, I cheated on this one because it would have ruined my enjoyment of the last 40 minutes of the film if I count every death and work out, well, that was a vampire. Does a vampire count as a death? And did they die before coming? Nope. 122 is how many deaths there are. And then in the death toll on the aforementioned news thing, there are 14 others that Seth and Richie killed before this. So you can make it 136 if you want. Quotas. Cows, none. Goats, none, I think. I don't think there's any goat in the middle of nowhere, I don't think. Dead animals, I think we avoided them as well.
Rat.
But yeah, giant vampire rat. It died. Pedophiles, probably Richie.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point we're just identifying someone in each film who could be a paedophile, but they do often get confirmed. But Richie at some point, definitely. Tackleberry trifecta. Sex Machine is a biker.
Hey.
So he rides a motorcycle. He runs. But ironically, Sex Machine does not get the girl in the end. In fact, nobody gets any girls. Seth is offered the girl, but he is... what does it say when he drives off? He's like, I'm not a bad... That's not even the bad... He says something at the end, some pithy line to Juliette Lewis as he drives off.
Oh, I'm not bad. I'm fucking bad. Or I'm not fucking bad or something like that.
Oh, that's what it is. I might be an asshole.
I'm a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's what he says. There we go. The top billed actor, Harvey Keitel, comes first in the credits. Doesn't appear till the 16th minute in the film, in the diner scene. This film, as Chris mentioned on the last podcast, that's the one with the vampires. 58 minutes, 30 seconds as we first see a vampire in this film.
See, I got another 1 minute before Salma turns.
Oh, I had the exact second that Salma turned, I had 58 and a half.
Oh, maybe we had it less.
Maybe you did maybe you had the extended scenes with more Sex Machine. Did Sex Machine take a picture with anyone?
No.
No, because that was one of the... I saw that's one of
Right.
the scenes. Maybe the runtime was different on the credits or something like that. Maybe my DVD was...
Did you count it when Danny Trejo got stabbed, and his knife came out green.
No, I went from full on Salma's a vampire.
Oh.
That's what I went from. But yeah, maybe it's 'cause I had the DVD and you watched the streaming version. Vampires. Cheech Marine first appears in the film after 36 minutes as a border patrol agent. He then appears 7 minutes later as a character called Chet Podcast.
Hey.
That is his character name. And then 50 minutes later, he reappears as Carlos in the end. We got 3 Cheech Marines in this.
I was when the first one popped up, I was like, "Oh, I recognize him." And then the second one, I was like, "This sounds like him," but
They're so close together, those guys. It's like basically one scene, and then the next scene he's back as somebody else. And then it's quite funny that it's forever. And then when Carlos is finally here, it's Cheech again. It's quite good. The film was called From Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk happens about 8 in the film, as we learned from the hostage. 42 minutes into the film is when dusk starts, and dawn is 92 minutes into the film. So there's nearly as much before dusk as there is from dusk till dawn in From Dusk Till Dawn. And then after dawn, we have like about 5 minutes. Not very much. But yeah, I thought it was quite funny that it's half before dusk and half after dusk. Did they say the thing from dusk till dawn in the film?
No, but it was on a sign.
yeah.
You're both wrong. I thought you would
Is it?
get it. It's basically the last thing Carlos says. He's like,
Is it?
oh, it's why he took him to the bar. Oh, police don't come here, and it's open from dusk till dawn. It's perfect. He says,
yeah, right, yeah.
but you're right. It does say it on the sign underneath the Titty Twister. Chris, I bet my bottom dollar. You better come through. You better deliver here, Chris.
Yeah, there was 35 podcasts.
I knew you would do it. I'm so glad.
I wasn't going to do it because obviously Richie says it once. No, she says it once early on, and I was like, okay. And then out of nowhere, Chet just starts rattling them off. I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill it. He says here.
I knew you would. I'm so glad. Did you do nut shots? I felt like there might be a couple in the fight. I think there's a couple.
I forgot to count them. Yeah.
And of course,
Exciting podcasts.
what Sex Machine has is a nut shot. If you want.
Hey, that was like a 9-barrel nut shot. That.
Yeah, nice there, yeah. And I don't think Rennie Wilhelm screams, which Chris normally shouts at. Andy, you've already teased us with a fun fact. Was that your fun fact?
That was my big fun fact, but the other fun fact is Tom Savini actually uses a whip in real life.
Ah, does he?
So that's why he's actually really good with the whip.
Most recently for me, Tom Savini, I saw him because he created the Fiend mask for the wrestler Bray Wyatt. He is the man. He's the man behind the Fiend kind of imagery, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Bray Wyatt are big pals, apparently. On 2.5, the 10-point podcast quiz. Andy, you are the quiz master.
Right, here we go. This is a classic From Dusk Till Dawn quiz.
Hey.
It's literally a quiz about Dusk Till Dawn.
Cool. Chris usually destroys
It
me.
normally does, but I've not done one in a while, so you might have drifted off. So here we go. Who wants to go first?
Chris usually just
I'll go first.
Chris is going first, right? Chris, how much is the hooch?
$6?
No.
$6.
Chris?
I'm going to go $5.
Nope, it was
$6.50.
$6.50.
Oh,
As soon as I said $6, I knew it was $6.50.
Bruce, what is the job title of the hostage taken to the motel?
is she a cashier?
No, Chris.
She bank teller?
Yes, it is a bank teller.
Is it?
Yes.
As soon as I said it again, I knew it was Bank Taylor. Oh, that's going to give myself a point. Chris, 1-0.
Chris, which Mexican food name is on the neon signs outside the Titty Twister?
I'm going to say tacos.
It's not tacos, Bruce.
Nachos?
No, it's carnitas.
Carnitas?
Carnitas. Yeah.
Carnitas.
They're like a taco.
Oh, okay.
Calientes as well.
Caliente and chicas.
Bruce, what flavor does Cheech pussy claim Kate is?
Apple pie.
It is apple pie.
Yeah. Apple pie podcast.
Chris, what triggers the vampire feeding frenzy?
Danny Trejo's vampire stabs Richie in the hand and he's bleeding. But
That's exactly it.
okay.
Like literally word for word, pretty much. Bruce, what does everyone say about Cheech? Or Chet, not Chet. I keep
Chet.
saying Chet. He wants to say
It's
Cheech.
played by Cheech, but the character's called Chet. What does everybody say about him?
Yes.
What does everybody say? Everybody says about me. Oh, I don't know.
Chris.
I don't know. He's Chet Pussy.
What's his
No,
name?
He sucks.
That's one thing I better put in low points. There are a couple of really cheesy lines. That's one of them.
Yes.
Another one is the band being like, "Fuck you, everybody, good night," and then disappearing. And it's just like, oh god, that's the best you can come up with.
Chris.
Yes.
How does Richie die?
Richie, well, he got turned into a vampire and he got pulled cued in the chest, hit with a gun, and as he kind of fired up, his arms came off.
I'll give you that.
Thank you.
I was going to say pulled apart as well. I was going to guess. I don't know.
What's the scores?
3-1 to Chris, as normal.
All right. I don't need to do the last one, but I'll give it to you anyway, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of beers does Carlos have in his car?
Oh, he has a. Well, this is a bit of contention I had. A domestic and Mexican.
Yes, that is the answer.
Would be the same thing because they're in Mexico. I'm assuming he must be American, and he's like, "Oh, we've got American domestic." But Chris is the winner, is he?
Chris is the winner.
Chris got a big lead, and I could never catch up there. Thank you, Andy. A good quiz. On to point 6. Movies within movies. Has Chris won this as well? Chris, the 10-point podcast universe. What crossovers do we have from Dusk?
Somebody called Angela Brockman, who was a dancer. She was in Starship Troopers as a Corporal Birdie.
Birdie and Starship Troopers. That film was so long ago, it is not in my mind anymore. So,
as previously mentioned, Michael Parks, the Ranger, he was in Django Unchained as LeQuint Dickey Mining Company employee.
He was a different character in that one, but yes, Michael Parks. He was with another person in the exact same scene.
Yes, Tom Savini. He was in it as a tracker.
That was not the person I was talking about.
No, Tarantino.
Yes.
He was in it as a guy with bag over his head as well.
Was he? Because he was one of the mining company people as well. Him, Michael Parks, and somebody I'm forgetting. There were 3 people in that scene.
Danny Trejo. I completely missed this one until later on. He was in Triple X as El Jefe.
I was like, surely we've done Danny Trejo. Surely we've done Danny Trejo. Triple X. He was El Jefe. He was like the bad guy that was it Vin Diesel first goes to kill. I think he was before we get into the main plot of the story. He had to go jump his motorcycle.
The crazy motorcycle jump. I was just going to say that. Tits McGee, Salma Hayek was in Dogma as Serendipity, doing the same thing she does in this.
He does a bit of dancing as well, yeah.
Finally, old Kloonmeister. He was in Oh Brother, We're Out Now. Have you seen something else? Because I feel like we've done more than him.
No.
We've even done that, but that's the only one I could find. You have forgotten somebody, though, Chris.
You have.
One of the main 4 actors in the film, Juliette Lewis. Because you complained that you hated her when we did Old School.
Oh!
She's Luke Wilson's wife.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even... I've seen Juliette Lewis and I didn't even... I've not done her, so I just fucking blipped past her.
You missed her, but everybody else you got is who I picked up on as well. But Juliette Lewis was also in Dogma. Have you recast us into the film, Chris? And have you been kind like I have and not made any of us Richie?
Well, I was going to put myself as Richie until he became a creeper and a complete fucking nutter. So I made myself any one of the guys in the bar simping over Salma Hayek.
Right, okay.
That's literally what I would be doing. And if I was going to be Richie, Andy would have been Seth, because he would be like totally keeping me in line. It's kind of what he does. I played Bruce as Danny Trejo, like barman and host extraordinaire.
I had me as Danny Trejo as well, host and presenter of and also plenty of experience on the bar. I had you as Jacob, Chris, again, the father with 2 children.
You would have bought here for being Jacob before.
Yeah. The father of children in the film. I know you've got 3 kids and a nice guy, like doesn't want to be ruined by all the stuff that's going on. I feel like Andy, a sex machine, was the only way I could go. Like you say, once Richie was a creeper, I had to change from Seth. So I've got Andy, sex machine.
I would have took Salma Hayek as well.
I think all of us would just be, as Chris put it, people simping on Salma Hayek if we were cast in the film. I have my usual questions. One of them I have already answered. Ernest Liu, all we've mentioned is he's horrific and this film doesn't need him. Basically, he's in the wrong film. Literally,
that's not how he's Asian and Thingamy's not.
Oh, he's adopted. That was mentioned at that scene. So,
was it?
Yeah. how is this working that he's a Jap, I believe is what Seth says, quote. And he's like, well, he's not, he's Chinese and he's adopted. So
I never heard him say adopted.
he probably still giggling from all the racism. He's in the wrong film, he's in the wrong business, and he found out quite quickly he was never in anything else ever again. Could this film have come out in 1995? Well, January 1996 is as close as you can possibly get, so yes, ignore that. Dead Man Walking, it's kind of hard when I know where the film goes, but the character of Richie cannot make it out alive, so he was a dead man walking, absolutely, but most people were. And the movie trope that needs to die, tough, but I went for meet me in the middle of nowhere is always a movie trope. People are right, okay, I've done this amazing thing, don't come to this safe house, don't go to this place, never meet me at this sensible place. It's always right, the big rock Mojave Desert, Hangover style, meet me in the middle of nowhere. So this is, for me, that's the trope that needs to die. What about you guys?
I thought I was going first. Border crossing lies. Like them saying, oh, it's just me and my son, and then there's always that little noise. Well, who's that? My fucking daughter. I forgot about her, didn't I?
She's only 20 years old or whatever she's supposed to be in the film.
So, yeah.
Mine's I do like it, but it does annoy me. And it's the kind of big reveal at the end where you want more. So like the cliffhanger type thing. Like it's like, oh, like here's what you could have had.
Yeah.
The pyramid is like, what's in that? I want to know more. And you get the credits.
If we had that many vampires just from the bats coming to the place,
Yeah.
what's down there?
But yeah, just too many films like this. It just always just teasing you. Like, oh, you bastards! I want to watch another one now.
Cool. On to point 7. Point 7 is that one thing. That one thing that this film has going for it. That, that everybody.
Two things.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I guess it has. Salma Hayek, Santanico Pandemonium.
Our assets.
Undefeated. Her performance, shall we say, is undefeated. If I was to vote for something other than that, I think the massive twist that they're vampires might be the one thing.
That's two things I remember from this film is her and vampires.
Yeah. I just remember Titty Twister, so.
Yeah, the kind of the bar name.
Yeah.
The other one. But yes, I think Salma wins it in a landslide. Point 8. Talking of winning things. The nominations for the 10 Point Podcast Awards at the end of the season.
Best entrance, Salma Hayek.
Did you have that as entrance? I had that as entrance as well.
There we go. I'm just throwing that in right there.
Chris normally lists his nominees and we tell him whether he's right or wrong as we go along.
Best actor, George Clooney, hands down.
Really good, like properly good in this film. I think this was a breakout for him, as NTV said.
It's not for me if he's a bad guy either, because he was an actual bad guy.
He's nearly always the hero, even at this stage, and probably for a while after this. I don't know. He doesn't play the villain that often. He plays kind of like that Michael Clayton. He's not necessarily a good guy, if I remember it rightly, unless I'm confused. But yeah.
Best support, I put Harvey Keitel.
Supporting, I guess so.
I like Thingy Lewis. I would say if I had to pick, she was pretty good.
She's a bit nominations for
She
me.
does. I was thinking Harvey Keitel first build and doesn't actually do an awful lot.
I don't understand how he's first built. Is it even first screen?
Yeah. If I was to vote for one of these, I'd go Keitel with Chris, but I'm not confident.
Nope. Fuck him off.
Most underused, Cheech Marin. I mean, he's only used 3 times.
Most overused.
I don't actually have an underused one.
I went Tom Savini. I wanted more Sex Machine, and I want to find this extended edition as more of him. He had something special.
I'll give that. He was quite good. Like,
yeah.
I put him as best badass.
Yep.
I had Clooney, but if you want to go Sex Machine, I
would say so. He was pretty good until he got bitten. Even when he got bitten, he was just like, we'll carry on.
Him hiding everything as he's like turning slowly into a vampire was funny.
Biggest bellend, Richie.
Yep. Yeah.
I did put a best villain. Was there a best villain?
I left it.
Really was.
Like Andy says, we think Santanico is the head vampire, and she's gone quite early doors.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Doesn't really have villain.
For me, I put best death as the sheriff because I generally didn't see it coming.
I like that death as well. I have that. I've got the pool table death because I banged on about it.
Yeah.
But I'd go with Earl McGraw if you want, getting shot in the head out of nowhere 10 minutes in the film or whatever it was.
Sweet. Best plan, knocking Richie out in the camper van because he is just a loose cannon.
He's a liability.
He was going to just give that whole thing up.
How the hell did Richie break him out of prison or whatever it was he got him? That's like Seth was going down and Richie got him out somehow. I don't know how he managed it.
Why is he going down and not Richie?
What was it? Was it the robberies? There was something.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't have a worse plan, so use.
I think I did.
Me
Yes.
and the Titty Twister bar.
That's quite a bad plan. I had just the two of us should take 3 hostages, but it didn't work out badly, I guess. But we'll go with the Titty Twister meeting is quite a bad plan in retrospect, yeah.
My best weapon was Sex Machine's cock gun.
Yep.
You always have weapon, and I always put it in inanimate object, and I had the same thing, the penis gun.
Yep.
That's best inanimate object.
Both categories, yes.
Cool.
I've lost where I am now.
Best prop.
Oh, that's coming up later on. You know.
It's
It's a bad thing. I'm getting confused. Well, worst twist, I put the vampires. Because
So I had that
was a good twist.
I put that best twist.
That was a good twist.
It's like on the DVD cover, which I don't have with me. I meant to bring it through. It does have bats on it, but nothing else about it. Like, but just like not like Batman on the cover. It's always a few bats at the Titty Twister. But when I first saw this, it was on Channel 4, and I'm like, oh, Tarantino, this could be quite good. Oh, the bank robbers. I have no idea vampires were coming, so I think that's a great twist.
My biggest jump scare was when the bats turn into like a vampire as they're trying to close the door, and his head just pops in the corner. I shit myself.
They're right up to the door, and it like cuts inside, and all of a sudden this massive head just pops through. I thought there was a good jump scare with Richie, with the hostage that they take in the petrol station, where all of a sudden he just pushes her over at one point.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, it caught me off guard. Like the tension building at that point as well.
My best special effects, I put some of the vampires, especially Dire Trails, was good.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Some of the vampires.
I left it blank, but yeah, I can't argue at all. Yeah.
First one was the rat vampire of Sex Machine.
Nonsensical rat vampire. I'll take that.
Yeah. Best set was Titty Twister.
Yeah.
Best cameo, Big Kahuna Burger.
I'll give you that.
Well, because I don't have a product placement, I might have nominated that for product placement.
Oh, so now I've got product placement.
Right, okay, we'll leave that then. I don't have a cameo. I think everyone's kind of in it to be in it. I thought about having Salma Hayek as cameo, but I don't think she was quite properly Salma Hayek yet, and she has a role rather than just being a cameo.
My Daddy John Jules of Most Unexpected is Cheech Marin being used 3 times.
That's quite good. I had Kelly Preston being the news reporter.
Oh,
like, as in John Travolta's wife that he basically met making Pulp Fiction, and he put her as a news reporter. I didn't recognize.
A good cameo then, I suppose.
Yeah, that's that's good. I suppose that's probably a cameo. I mean,
or even John Saxon as the head FBI person doesn't get used.
Let's have Kelly Preston as the cameo, but then have Cheech showing up for the 3rd time as unexpected, because I was not expecting him again.
I've got a bit of a blank. Oh, nah, I'm not gonna put him as best father figure because he tries to eat his son. Best entrance, Salma Hayek.
Yep.
Best song was Dark Knight.
Best costume, Salma Hayek.
I like Dark Knight a lot. I would maybe say After Dark.
I missed that one. That's a good one.
I had that as well. Santanico Pandemonium Best. I had After Dark, the one that she dances to. I like that song a lot. But if you like Dark Knight as a banger, I'll stick with Dark Knight.
It's just at the start and the end. I thought it was quite good.
Yeah.
Worst costume was Richie's vampire thing. That was just horrendous.
Oh yeah, good show. And worst hair and whatever else was going on with his head.
His hair just managed to grow as well. Best food, the Kahuna Burger looked quite good.
Oh yeah, I was thinking because they ask about food at the Titty Twister, but then they never get it. And I'm thinking,
food.
I wanted to see what it was, and also I'm guaranteeing it is horrific. Nothing good is getting served in that bar at all.
Most pornographic, the dancing girls, especially Salma Hayek dance.
The one who was maybe least pornographic of the lot.
Yeah, I know.
In many ways, yeah.
I think that's me out.
Best animal, snake.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like snakes.
Best character name, Santanico Pandemonium. I mean, there's barely a better name in history than that. Best cop, because I like him, Earl McGraw, but he gets killed. It doesn't work out that the criminals are in the bar with him, the shop with him. Best costume, like Andy says. Best fight, the humans versus the vampires has to be.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good, like, they keep it lively and interesting. There's always something different happening. Andy complained they die. There's no consistency of how they die, but there's a consistent change in how they kill them, which is quite enjoyable. Best stunt, it doesn't nominate very often. The flaming man shooting as he jumps behind the counter in the.
That was definitely a real human.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Best soundtrack, which we have apparently, but yes.
I just put song/soundtrack now because
we normally narrow it down to just best song, but the whole soundtrack's good for me. If that comes up at the end. Michael Pena. Fred Williamson's Nam monologue.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
was really good. Brilliant. And then does he get finished, or does it vampires attack?
I think the vampires attack. Right,
It's Tom Savini.
Oh yeah, his
Aye.
little tickling hands coming up.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
So yeah, that I'm nominating that. So that's Michael Pena. Stupidest character Richie, mainly for him kicking off at being called a nut.
Yeah.
And then one time, stay quiet, Richie, and then you can moan afterwards. Worst acting, Ernest Liu as Scott is worst acting.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that one.
And that's me. I don't have any other worsts. It's low on the worsts for us so far. Andy, best product placement?
Jack Daniels.
Ah, yes.
Like,
Earl wants it, doesn't he?
I feel like we do a lot of alcohol in this, but I would just like, there you go, buy Jack Daniels.
In the shop at the beginning. I could have looked around the shop, actually. There'd be some in there, like on the shelves. Okay, on to point 9, the moral of the story. What lesson were we supposed to learn from Dusk Till Dawn? I'll go first with my one. Everything you've heard about vampires is true, is the moral of the story. Me? What about you, Andy?
Strip clubs are bad.
Yes, danger. And Chris?
Seeing is believing.
Seeing is believing. Very good, yeah. I don't believe in vampires, but yes. Point 10 is our 10-point rating, where we rate the movie out of 10 points. I picked it. I go first. I wasn't sure if Chris had seen it, so he goes last. So me first. This is what I want from a film this year. This is a little bit of everything, and there's very little downtime. There's a couple of scenes that first introduce Jacob, quite quiet, but other than that, something's always happening, and then something very different happens. I find it hard to fault, but it's not a 10 out of 10. It's not a 10. It's great, not a 10 out of 10. So I'm going to go as high as an 8 out of 10 because I watched this so kind of sporadically. I've watched a whole bunch, but since 1999 or something like that, I've watched it maybe every couple of years, maybe every 3 or 4 years. I kind of go back to, I really like this film, So 8 out of 10 for me for From Dusk Till Dawn. Andy, got you next.
I always say that other films have done this better, and this film is very much like Army of Darkness, Evil Dead.
Right.
So I always get the Evil Dead vibes of this film. I hate the first part of this film. It's just shit. I just don't like it at all.
Everything before, like, the bar.
Yeah, because like starting off, it's like all right, and then there's like there's no police actually chasing them. The whole thing's just a bit. That's why my first high point was the Titty Twister.
That's because it's the character building at the beginning. That's where you learn who everybody is, and then the events happen.
Yeah, but still no. Anyway, Titty Twister, I can't really fault it. Pretty good. Salma Hayek, good. Vampires, good. Fighting, good. But it leaves me wanting more. There is another 3 films and a TV series, so it only gets a 4 from me.
Only I thought we were going to go 5 for a half and half there. Chris, on maybe your first or second viewing, we don't know.
This is 2 completely different films, like spliced into one.
That's always my issue with this film.
This was heading for a 7 right up until the vampires showed up, and then it's dropped it to a 5 because I was more interested. They could have done this without the vampires. They could have had Richie being a complete nutter, shitting people, being a shit out and all that. Then Seth turning on his brother and all that to stop him from killing him.
Chris Fisher doesn't like the twist.
Yeah, Chris didn't like the twist.
Yeah, so it's Salma Hayek just is awesome, but
she takes from a 4 to a 5.
Yeah, it was teeter on the edge, but I'll give it a slap in the middle. 5.
That's an average of a 6. A 6 out of 10 from Dusk Till Dawn. It's probably right enough. I think I like it too much.
I feel like we need to watch Army of Darkness now.
Maybe. Well, I've never seen Army of Darkness, and I've not seen all of either Evil Dead in one sitting. Neither of the films. All in one.
The new one looks horrendous, to be fair. So.
Probably, yeah. I have a theme on the go. I have picked Den of Thieves, Scream, and From Dusk Till Dawn. Do you want to guess or two at what my theme is?
Bank robbers.
Andy's pretty much nailed it. Because I picked out a theme. I picked out some films I wanted to do, and I was like, what links all of these? And Scream was a bit of an outlier. Damn, it doesn't really work. So my theme is cops and or robbers is my theme. Because Dewey in Scream gets through. But yes, I had bank robbers and Den of Thieves, bank robbers and From Dusk Till Dawn, and cops and or robbers will be featured in my last 2 selections. So yes, Andy got it in the end. It was robbers and cops. So that is my theme nailed on. You can guessing what I'm going to pick next time. Next week is Chris's selection. Now I have a sneaking suspicion I know what Chris is going to do. So I don't know if Andy is chomping at the bit to have a guess. Right. I don't know what Chris's. I know his theme is unfinished business, but then he's already wavered from that. I've just had a sneaking suspicion that he's been loading it up for years now, and this is the perfect week for Chris to unload 1993's Super Mario Brothers movie, and that was what my anticipation is what Chris was going to pick, and now he's nodded, so he's not going to be picking it.
It's been mentioned more than once in the podcast, and I thought, this is the time. Showgirls.
Oh,
fuck's
Showgirls!
sake.
I'm joking.
I'm going to say, following up this, the Showgirls.
My actual pick is Alien 3.
Oh,
Finally.
it was-
Finally, the one that they've been
The
crying.
one that got away.
This is the reason I did unfinished business, because I've not done it for a few years.
So I thought your unfinished business was you always wanted to do Super Mario, and the new one just came out, so you would do it this week.
It was a good idea. but-
Perfect pick.
For Alien 3, I have the Alien, whatever you call it, all the films thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got what? Do you want to watch the dog version or was it the cow? No, a cow or
Cow, I
the
think it's
dog?
cow. I think it's the
Cow
cow.
and
Aye.
dog.
I think it's the director's cut is the one I like better.
That's the cow.
So I'm-
watch both of them.
Fair enough.
See what the differences are.
I will probably only watch the director's cut because I like it comfortably better. So if I feel like it, I might watch the other one too.
I'm pretty sure the cow is the director's cut, but then they still call it a dog alien.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. I think you're right. I think it's the cow one I like better. It's a wee bit longer
Yeah.
as well, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Alien 3, yes. Long awaited. When did we first do Alien? Like 3 seasons ago or something like that?
More than that, I think.
Yeah, maybe more. So you have it. That's what you got to find. Get your Alien quadrology, sextology out and get your Blu-rays fired up and pick whichever version you want. Try and watch both for Alien 3, and we'll see you next week on the 10 Point Podcast.